In this video, I'm going to cover 5 imminent UFO disclosure developments that we can all look forward to. Let's start with development number 1. In the following tweet, journalist Jeremy Corbell conveys that very soon he is going to have recordings of witnesses going on the record from some of the major UFO sightings that happened in the month of July in 2019 by Navy warships. At SaucerCo on April 8th writes, the U.S. Navy footage that took the world by storm was released by Jeremy Corbell 1 year ago today. As noted in Corbell's original release, quote, in 2019, the U.S. Navy photographed and filmed, quote unquote, pyramid-shaped UFOs and advanced transmedium vehicles. Corbell responds, this reporting has just begun. Direct witness recordings imminent. The classified documents clearly demonstrate in high detail why these craft were not ours, and all reports represent this encounter as being with craft that were pyramid-shaped. More soon. Let's take a look at the footage that Jeremy Corbell released on April 8th, 2021. And here Corbell explains what you just looked at on April 8th, 2021 on the Mystery Wire YouTube channel.
Right now, I'm going to show you 2 slides. So they're composite images from video of 2 separate encounters. Why they're important is because one is they were described in the briefings, in the intelligence briefings, as very importantly, pyramid-shaped UAPs. Although it appears as a triangle or triangles, that's because a face or a facade of the vehicle is projected at the individual, actually shooting through night vision, through this 3rd generation night vision, using, a recording device. But this comes right from encounters on the USS Russell in July of 2019.
Let's take a look at the slide he referenced. Here's one of the slides Corbell is referencing. And this was part of a classified briefing that was generated about the UFO UAP presence via the Office of Naval Intelligence. Now let's read what's on that slide. USS Russell observed 3 unknown, unidentified aerial systems, seemingly triangular in shape from the angle of observation, hovering approximately 700 feet over the USS Russell's fantail. 2 of the UAS are pictured above.
This is the best UFO evidence that I have personally seen. The reason I'll say that is because of the providence of it. It's not all created equal what you see through night vision if you film. I know for certain this was taken on deployment from the USS Russell. And so it shows these, what they described as vehicles. And they made a great distinction. They made sure in this classified briefing, they made a great distinction that this is not something that we own, either a black project. This is not something of a foreign military, that these were behaving in ways that we did not expect, and that they were shaped non-aerodynamically, like pyramids. These are flying pyramids.
Now, debunker Mick West assesses that what you're really seeing in that footage is bokeh from a night vision camera using a triangular iris or a triangular lens cover, and that there's nothing out of this world that is recorded in this footage. Now, whether he's right about that or not, I have no idea. And I'm more than comfortable to stay on the sidelines and see how this discussion unfolds. But this only underscores how valuable the witness testimony that Corbell says he's going to share is, because the witness could be asked about Mick West's hypothesis and why he's not right if he's not right. So it won't serve as proof of anything, don't get me wrong, but it really will help clarify what took place in June of 2019, right above the deck of the USS Russell. And I look forward to hearing that witness testimony, because this is an interesting saga that is unfolding right now. Disclosure development number 2. On May 3rd, the documentary A Tear in the Sky is premiering. And here is a quote from a member of the cast of this documentary that really underscores what this documentary composes of. And this is a quote by Dr. Michio Kaku. When I hear that you've assembled a team of top scientists using state-of-the-art equipment, I say to myself, it's about time. And of course, these scientists are looking for evidence of UAP. And as I understand it, they're filming from the island of Catalina, very close to where the Tic Tac was documented by the USS Nimitz carrier strike group. Now, I have no idea the quality of the data they acquired during this scientific investigation that is partially documented by the documentary. But what I do understand is that on May 3rd, the very day this documentary premieres, they're going to release their data. And it's going to be in the public domain. Anyone can look at it. And furthermore, they're going to give the data to the SCU, which is the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies, comprising of scientists. So whatever data they acquired, it's going to be poured over by very competent people. And so if it's good evidence, I'm hoping that we will make that realization. And if it's poor evidence, I'm hoping we will make that realization. But it remains to be seen what exactly they acquired, and I look forward to it. Disclosure development numero 3. So here's another documentary that I think is also coming out in May, maybe even the same day as the one I just mentioned. And this one's titled Alien Abduction Answers. And obviously it's about the topic of abductions. And both Jacques Vallée and Ralph Blumenthal, of course, is a respected journalist, have praised this film. And so has UFO researcher Grant Cameron. In fact, this is what Grant had to say on Twitter. I did an interview yesterday with the producer and assistant producer of Alien Abduction Answers. Here are some of the trailers. My opinion, perhaps the greatest and most important UFO documentary ever. Now, the abduction phenomenon is extremely controversial. But interestingly, that controversy might have a shelf life. We are going through an interesting time right now, and I don't know where it's headed. If anything, I've become more skeptical over time, not less. And my skepticism is mostly predicated on epistemological humility, recognition of my own flaws in how I potentially perceive the world. And frankly, I think we would all be doing ourselves a favor if maybe we had a little bit more humility and a little bit less certainty about what the truth really is regarding this issue and any mystery really that is parallel to this one. I'm still over 50%, don't get me wrong. But I'm not the guy that says, oh, I'm certain. That's not me. I'm not certain. I could be wrong about this whole thing. And I've acknowledged that many times. But if this all is going in the direction that I think it is, and the simple fact is we are not alone in the universe, and further, our world is being engaged by non-human intelligence, then frankly, it's not a big leap to go from A, there are technologies in our airspace and oceans that are unaccounted for and do not stem from adversaries, do not stem from the American government, do not stem from Elon Musk or anything like that to some people are being commandeered against their will. It's not a big leap. I mean, look at what we do to some of the animal kingdom. We tranquilize them, we tag them, we study them. Maybe that's happening to our species right now. I think it's very plausible, frankly. And so I can't tell you how important this documentary is. First of all, I haven't seen it. Second of all, I don't know where this is all headed. But if it's headed where I think it is, believe you me, the abduction phenomenon will become a very important topic, inevitably. Because the probability that something like that could be happening will increase astronomically if indeed we're being visited by unknown intelligences, or maybe they live here somehow. Some people do believe that they live in our oceans and may be native to our planet in some weird way. Disclosure development numero 4. So according to this tweet with the image he captured, aerial phenomenon, the documentary, which many of us have been looking forward to, and I'll discuss it after this. But according to this capture, it says that upcoming film release April 2022. So maybe it will be released in this month. I don't know, but this seems like a good sign. So I just got done watching the end of the Phenomenon movie directed by James Fox, because in that segment they actually cover the alleged UAP school landing in Rua, Zimbabwe. Now, this school landing was the culmination of 3 days of sightings all across Zimbabwe. And at least, according to the documentary, 64 children were interviewed. One little girl was asked how far the being was from her because it wasn't just craft landing, but allegedly there were beings that came out of the craft. And that little girl answered and said 1 meter, which is an arm's length. And interestingly, in the documentary, The Phenomenon, some of these children were interviewed as adults, because remember, the school landing happened in 1994. And one of those adults, named Selma Siddick, said, "I stand by what I saw. We had no reason to make that up." And as far as I know, there has not been one example of one of those children later in life saying, I think we made it up. Not one. And interestingly, one of the teachers from that event was interviewed, named Judy Bates. And it wasn't spelled out in the film, but I think I recall James Fox saying that she admitted that later that she witnessed the craft had landed. But she didn't want to talk about it during the time because she was thinking of herself and her career as a teacher, and she didn't want that to be compromised by saying she saw what the children say they saw. And she said she regretted not sticking up for the children. Now, my opinion is that these children saw something very bizarre, and it was not a hoax, and it very well may have been non-human aliens. Now, interestingly, at the end of the Phenomenon documentary, it is written on the screen, "Please contact your representative and ask for full transparency." That makes a lot of sense. I think that current events over the past 4+ years paint a pretty compelling picture that the U.S. government is simply not telling us everything they know about UAP. So the real question is, are there elements of the U.S. government that know we're not alone and have kept that insulated? I don't know. But if that is the case, I think the pressure is building, and we will find out soon enough. Now, when I say that, I don't necessarily mean in the next year, but in our lifetimes, shall we say. That's just my opinion. This should be a really good documentary, because if there was ever a highly corroborated UFO sighting, this would be it. Disclosure development number 5. So here's a very interesting tweet by journalist Tim McMillan of The Debrief. And it was posted on April 10th. He writes, "It's not often you get to share the results of an over year-long investigation that helped send a shockwave through the DoD's global intelligence and security operations and UFOs. This week, I'll be doing just that." Steve TE responds to the tweet I just shared with you and writes, "Oh, shockwave, scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is equal to earth-shattering. How would this rank?" Tim responds, "This is something the UFO community may not really understand and may not initially appreciate the significance, but it is by far the most significant public service journalism I've ever done, and within the DoD, it was a level 10 shockwave." Further, another Tim chimes in and writes, "Wait, I don't understand. Who did the investigation?" McMillan responds, "Me. And well, I guess the Secretary of Defense personally played a major role." Lisa Bowden writes, "Anything we haven't already heard?" McMillan, "Yes." Let's do a thought exercise to end this video. Let's say within the next 5 years, it becomes an established scientific fact that not only are we not alone, but our biosphere is being engaged by non-human intelligence that is much, much more evolved technologically than we are. How would that impact our civilization? Well, from my perspective, what you're seeing now in the media and upcoming documentaries and witnesses coming forward from the military and so forth, that would be what's happening now, a fraction of what would happen in a post-disclosure world. It'd be like what's happening now. You're out in the lineup, you're sitting on your surfboard, and on the horizon, you see something really small coming your way, real small. But then when it hits the reef, it gets closer to you, and it's this huge mountain of water. It went from something really small to something really significant and powerful, and even dangerous, potentially. If UFO confirmation happens within the next 5-10 years, and the human species has to deal with this kind of revelation, can only imagine how many documentaries are going to come out, how many books are going to be written, how much time news networks, mainstream and alternative, are going to focus on this, how many movies are going to be made, fictional movies, how many songs we've written about this presence. It's hard to calibrate exactly the impact it will have. But if it does happen, and I'm not saying that it will, but I'm also not saying that it won't, I think our civilization will never again be the same. There's no going back from a revelation like that. And that's exciting in its own right. Please don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can check out my merch shop where I sell t-shirts. You become a patron, you can become a YouTube member, you can give me a one-time donation. All of those potentialities are in the links below, or you can just slap a like on this bad boy and I'll appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Special thanks to all patrons, YouTube members, those that have bought merch, those that have given me a one-time donation. I couldn't do without you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.